high-grade Clanche. What's up again, everybody? Robert184, 2Rs2Bs Gundam Reviews.net. It's my last chance to make jokes about the word Clanche here, as it's part 4 of my verdict for this review. Well, I suppose we don't have to wait all that long for the custom come out, and those jokes can be made again. But anyway, you've seen everything from the unbox to the parts to both modes of the mobile suit. Anyway, so let's get my final thoughts here, and you can give me yours, of course, with a comment down below. So straight on to the negatives first. Although I should add, with the PS point here, what you're seeing is not your imagination. Well, yeah, anyway, it's not that hard to imagine with a grunt suit here. For a reasonable price, 1,300 yen. One reason behind the delay of these videos was it was just a lot of fun. I put together 2 of these kits. And that's more just because it's fun to recreate the old Largan scene. If you're going to have Largan Wolf in the Age 1 and then do the same thing with the Diva team, whether you've got them in Diva colors, all of them or not, it's still just fun to have the whole team all together. So if you're going to have Sarek's team out there, well, you might as well have 2 of these to represent both Jonathan and Derek. I didn't go as far as Shanalue. If they had been smarter like the Diva team and just put on 2 numbers on their chest, or 3 of them, and a T maybe for Trader or something like that, well, they probably could have sold more. But anyway, you get to see more of these, and if it was worth buying 2, you can guess that there are going to be negatives, but a lot of positives at the end. Even though he's transformed here, it's not all bad, but to start with some of the negatives first, bottom to top, if you take a look at those ankles there, you're going to see some colors in there. You've got some gray and some pink, and that's a great thing, especially you can see it in both modes. But in terms of posability on the ground, well, he's going to look awfully awkward because you just have very little surface area there. You can see that the front of the toes, you've just got those edges there, and the heels are not that large itself. And you're not going to have that much mobility there. Moving up, you've got the legs that are going to look a little bit awkward. They're always going to have this strange separation there, which is going to be covered mostly because that front armor is going to go up and cover it up. But if you're looking at it from the sides or the back, it looks a little bit awkward. Not to mention the fact that as soon as you bend the knee, it's going to look a little bit strange because the gray, it was clearly designed to be a straight-looking leg, and you're just going to have a very awkward-looking thing. That's not going to look anything better than this when you're displaying it. And when you get used to things like new master grades with all sorts of sliding things, and even just the high grades, they're incorporating more moving parts in the knees. Here, you just seems like they've gone a little bit backwards. Moving up, when you put the waist together, you're going to see a polycap all the time if you're looking at it at the right angle in the waist section. Definitely not a plus. And something that I really wasn't a fan of was just the whole way you've got that neck part. The Age 2, you're going to have the head go up and down, and you're able to do more with the waist section in terms of bending it out, bending it in, and transforming it. Here, it looks like you've got the head to move down, but it's only going to go down 2 or 3 millimeters. Doesn't seem like it's worth having an awkward moving part there. And you're also going to have this pink part that attaches into the back, and it's going to go in this way, and then it's going to go in and lock when it's in its transform mode here. Again, it just sort of seems like you're not getting all that much benefit. The head is down a little bit more than you would expect, but you could just have that gray part there on the front of the rifle just be up a few more degrees, and it would accomplish the same thing without damaging the structural integrity, if you want to put it that way, of the chest. Although really those big words are not all that necessary. Also, you've got these shoulders here that are going to be a little bit loose, and these side binders, like them in a lot of poses, but in a lot of other poses, you're going to have to be careful because it looks like he's just got this strange schwack of pink sticking out in strange angles there, so you're going to have to set up the left and the right arm appropriately to just show it off at its best and definitely not at its worst, and for whatever reason, they're not attached on all that securely. They seem to fall off quite easily. But then I'm going to say forget about everything I was just talking about, because the positives, just looking at a pose like this is a grunt suit for the Earth Federation. It's got named pilots, but at the same time, I don't think I've seen it. It looks very dynamic, very cool, and right there, I think it's a lot of fun. First of all, when you're putting it together, things like the Genuis 2 and the Adele, because they have so many parts from earlier kits, wasn't very much fun putting this one together. This one, despite its similarities with the Age 2, does not feel repetitive in any way, shape, or form, and outside of the color scheme, really there's nothing for the internal frame or anything that's going to have too many relationships, so it's definitely going to feel all new, and that's a great thing. Simple build, 1,300 yen, and yet the play value that I'd say you're getting from this kit is fantastic, starting with the fact that you have to do very little lining. That's going to be a plus for some people. A lot of people like getting in there either with a marker or some proper ink. But if you just want to look at how streamlined this is, right out of the box, I'd say this is probably going to be one of the cooler kits you've ever seen, just because he's going to have gray in all the right places, top and bottom. Some of them are provided by seals, but a lot of them are actually just going to be done in plastic, and just the details. As you move up, yes, the knees are awkward, but you're going to see the combination there of having that white part protruding from the gray inner frame there. Then you get to see gray for the arms. The way the pink elbows fit around there is great. You can see gray vents here, top and bottom on there, More importantly, you've got gray there. There's nothing worse than looking, the first thing that pros do is fill in things like the back of skirts, and those you're hardly ever going to see unless you're looking at it from an awkward angle. But when you've got somebody forward, and you're looking at the back of their elbows and they're sticking down about as long as their forearms themselves, the fact that they go to trouble to put in that simple gray piece there makes all the difference in terms of quality. You've also got very movable shoulders. They can go all over the place. The vent parts, just the fact that they hang down is very cool. I thought you'd use them more in the transformation. You don't really, just besides sort of hide them on the inside. But then moving up right to the head, one of the biggest pluses of this, I really like the Genoese just because he is going to have that old white beard down there at the bottom, soul patch if you will. The Genoese 2 wrecked that all by having just a solid pink face, which of course was made for Wolf's white one. But then you put on the seal, but this one goes back and just kills it with a vengeance because you've got white from just one piece of plastic is going to give you 3 different color apps there, which I think is fantastic, combined with the fact that you've got a funny Hado face inside there, and a very cool looking blue cover there, which is going to shine no matter which way you look at it in the light because it's just so well designed. And it definitely looks like they've stepped up their design from the old just circle of the Genoese to something a little cooler for the custom in the Genoese 2 to definitely the apex in terms of grunt face design. And how about for the transformation? It's certainly, well, I'm not going to say it's one of the best, but it's definitely not one of the worst. We've seen a lot of Gundams that are a lot more recognizably as just being Gundams that instead of being standing up have just flopped over horizontally. And even though this one's not quite horizontal when it's attached onto the stand, you can do it thanks to the fact that they include the landing gear, which has an ingenious attachment mechanism. Feels quite solid even though the front one is going to look a little bit awkward. But the transformation itself, not as solid as the H2. I love the way that it attached in, the way you brought the waist up and plugged it into the back. And the head there, yes, I'm not so crazy about this, but it is something different. Those side binders definitely add the appearance of wings over there, while still keeping it streamlined. The head is going to be hidden, and just the way that this rifle attaches in to the front, a solid connection going right through the white part up into the pink there. Everything about it seems to be working really well, combined with the fact that you've got those little bonuses like gray in the back of the heels, which you are actually going to see when you have it up on a base like this. You can tell that Bandai went to some effort, and even those arms in the back, it does look a little bit cheesy, but at the same time, if they were just running back straight like, every other Gundam from the 90s, then you would definitely not, I'd be complaining even more. Here they're going to be bent in at a 45-degree angle, a little bit awkward to get them there, but then again, it's a new look, and that shield back there, combined with that little neck protector as sort of, not that it's flimsy, but just sort of, it's not necessarily the best design, but in terms of looks, it's a very interesting place to attach on the shield, and it's going to really set this guy apart, and I'm going to say that he looks good when he's transformed, and great in his MS mode, which you can guess is all going to lead into a verdict that you can guess is going to be overwhelmingly positive, starting with the basics, 1,300 yen. You open up the box and you say, hey, I've seen these plates in these colors before with the Genoese. All new build, all new design. You get twice as much play value thanks to the transformation, and just a whole lot more coolness. Love the lines. Whoever did the designs for this, I think just did a fantastic job, both on the MS, for the actual mecha for the anime, and in terms of the model here. They just nailed it in so many ways. You've got tons of details that I've already listed, but combined with the head and the way the arms sweep back there, great weapons, great poses, extras like the extra manipulators and the landing gear. Really, there are a few things that I would change, but as somebody who doesn't build a lot of grunts, it's always cool to see the way the Gym 2, the Gym 3, and all the way on to the Jagans and Justas and things like that. This one definitely looks like a big step up. It took the Genoese, which was a grunt in every way. Unless you were a fan of Largan, I don't think anybody would want to be rushing to get that on their shelf unless you just want to build grunts and add to your army. And you can do that with the AGs. But with this one, I'd say just by its design itself, whether you were a fan of the anime or any of the characters between Shanalua, Derek, or Jonathan, I think the design itself is enough to sell this kit. 1,300, tons of play value, tons of fun, tons of options, throw in that action base, which lets you do it all with 0 difficulty, and definitely worth buying 1 or even 2. So on to future speculation, where, because we didn't get an advanced grade for this after they did 8, 8, and 8 in terms of the generations there, sort of disappointing because this guy would have been a lot of fun. You definitely could have had all 3 of them there in terms of the pilots recreated for, well, half the price roughly, if you went all advanced grades. But anyway, it seems like what are our options there? We could have a master grade there, although the fact that we did not get the double bullet sort of makes you wonder about the 1/100th future and the fact that the Gafran got cancelled. You'd think that the Adele would definitely be possible because it's just going to be a variation of the H1. They've already got half the frame built. But I guess the real test would be is whether we get a wolf suit, because if we got some wolf suits, perhaps that's just going to lead fans to want to see a Sarek suit, and if we're going to get a Sarek suit where it's going to be blue with most of the kit being the same as this one, then perhaps there is a chance of a Master Grade Clanche, but then again, perhaps it's just my desire for more, yes, Clanche, that's going to lead to that, and maybe I'm being completely unrealistic. But that'll wrap up my review, and it was a lot of fun. It really was the kind of thing where mid-build I decided to go and get the second one, just to complete the shelf and have all of the 3 teams for the 3 generations out there. How cool would it be to do it in 1/100th? Well, that's something, again, that we'll just have to see. But why don't you let me know what you think about the verdict, about the kit, and about the speculation. Always love to hear you. My opinion is just one, and I'd love to hear 100 more down below. Anyway, everybody, sorry about the delays, and as always, thanks for watching, and of course, stick around because we're going to be getting an even more souped-up custom, a Blue Adele Sarek version coming out for this kit in the near future. Can't wait to have that and complete the team. Probably won't go as far as Shanalua. That is just asking for an advanced grade. But anyway, everybody, thanks as always for watching. Stick around as we finish off the HG Age line. And as always, thanks for watching. See you next time. Two out of the 3 of them did alright, Sarek. You did okay, kid. Yeah, but I guess it's you who gets all the credit for Albright.